The silly birds of Featherhill. On top of a grassy hill stood a giant oak tree, and in its branches lived a flock of the silliest birds you could ever imagine. They were not ordinary birds at all. Each one had a funny habit that made life on the hill noisy, busy, and very, very silly. There was one bird who loved to sing, but only when everyone else was trying to sleep. Another bird insisted on hopping everywhere instead of flying, even when it meant bouncing right into bushes. And there was a bird who thought worms were spaghetti and would twirl them around like noodles before finally eating them. Altogether, they made Featherhill the funniest place in the meadow. The early morning mix-up. One sunny morning, the birds woke up to the sound of a rooster crowing on a nearby farm. "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" the rooster cried. The birds decided they should try it too. "Cock-a-doodle-caw!" shouted one. "Cock-a-squawk!" shouted another. "Cock-a-doodle-hoo-hoo!" hooted an owl who had stayed up too late. The noise was so loud that the farmer came outside, scratching his head. "What in the world is wrong with those birds?" he muttered. The rooster looked very confused. The birds laughed so hard that they all tumbled off their branches, landing in a feather pile on the ground. The flying contest. Later that day, the birds decided to have a flying contest to see who could soar the farthest. They lined up on a branch, flapped their wings, and took off one by one. The first bird flapped so hard that it accidentally spun in circles, flying backward instead of forward. The second bird forgot to flap at all and plopped right into a patch of daisies. The third bird flew perfectly until a butterfly distracted it, and it crashed gently into a haystack. Finally, the last bird hopped to the edge of the branch, flapped its wings and shouted, "Here I go!" only to sneeze midair and land upside down in a puddle. All the other birds clapped their wings and cheered. No one won the contest, but everyone agreed it was the funniest flight show they had ever seen. The Great Berry Heist. In the afternoon, the birds grew hungry. They spotted a bush full of bright red berries, but there was one problem. A group of squirrels was guarding the bush, chattering and waving their tails. One bird whispered, "We need a plan." Another said, "Let's be sneaky." But the youngest bird shouted, "Charge!" and flew straight into the bush, scattering squirrels and berries everywhere. The other birds followed, flapping and squawking. Squirrels dashed in circles, birds bounced into branches, and berries flew through the air like tiny red balls. By the end, everyone was sticky, giggling, and full of berries. Even the squirrels joined the feast. The sunset song. As the day